it's okay. I like it.
Well, that and it reminded like I saw this part that was about a movie called Runaways with Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons. And Gene Simmons is a bad guy, and there's these like I had these vague memories of this movie where there were these little robotic spiders that had needles on them, and they would stick the needle into your skin, and it would put acid into you. And then when they did that, like it would build a boil of acid, like this black mark on your skin. And I never knew where it was from, and like I had completely forgotten about it. And it must have been one of those movies that used to run on Prism all the time back in the day.
Oh wow, I forgot about that channel.
Yeah, and so I'm watching this, and they're talking about this movie. I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar. And then it, like, they go through it, and then they show the scene that I remember. I'm like, holy shit, I've watched that movie before. But like that, and I wrote some of the names of the things down. Space Hunter, Strange Invaders, Repo Man,
Repo Man was good.
and I can't remember what the other one was. There's
Repo Man had a very early punk soundtrack too. That's fantastic.
well, and that's actually what really when I saw that who was on the soundtrack, I was like, okay, I need to watch that movie.
It's the main stars are Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton, whatever the Dean Stanton guy's first name is.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then there's one called like Galaxina or something like that, which was it starred a Playboy Playmate, and it was supposed to be like a takeoff of all the science fiction of the time, kind of like a pre-Spaceballs movie. But apparently she was like a famous Playboy centerfold that ended up getting killed not long after the movie was released or something like that, or not long after the movie was completed. But it's supposed to be a hilarious movie. So I want to see that too. But so for those of you who are joining us and wondering why we're just jumping in like this, we're talking about a movie that, or a documentary that I have procured and provided to my colleagues for us all to watch. And we talked about this like months ago. We were going to do this, and we just never have. And I finally did because I don't have the internet, and I had it downloaded on my computer, and I needed something to watch when I was awake and had nothing better to do. So I watched it. Now we'll watch it and give a full rundown because there's going to be different stuff that's going to speak to each of us. But
and what's that called? Just so we can kind of tease out something in the future here with it.
That's a good question. I forget what the hell it's called. No, it's called The Search for Tomorrow, and it's all about. It walks actually year by year through the '80s and talks about all the different sci-fi movies and stuff that came out. And obviously, it doesn't hit everyone, but it hits a good number and some stuff that like I was saying, I completely forgot about, and some stuff that I've seen and some stuff that I haven't. But it was really interesting, and I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, if you buy it legitimately, it's like $100 or something like that, which is why we didn't buy it legitimately.
Sure, we did. Wink, wink.
Nod, nod. But no, so Richie had a really good topic in mind that he brought up in the text thread with us. And so I wanted to dive into that. And it should be a fairly evergreen topic. It shouldn't be out of date by the time this posts, because it's by the time this posts, hopefully I'm in my new house and we're actually producing new content again, because I still got a couple in the can to put up, but we'll see how things go. But the topic that he brought up is fantastic. Is Jon Moxley just basically a modern day Stone Cold?
I actually use the term talented, but you can change it to modern day if you want.
Okay, well, we'll say talented, modern day, whatever, however you want to put it. But it's a really good question, and it's a good comparison because Stone Cold, now back in the Attitude Era, obviously he had a ton of talent around him that he could, he wasn't just shouldering the entirety of the WWE. He had plenty of talent around him, plenty of established stars, and the brand itself was an established brand. Jon Moxley, in the wake of all of the CM Punk and Young Bucks and Hangman and Adam Page, all that crap that happened.
They actually, I don't think you guys watch Dark or Dynamite as regularly as I do, but I don't know the guy's name, but it was the Brandon something or other, the guy that usually with the Young Bucks. He's been
Yeah.
wrestling more, and he had a win against Serpentico on one of the dark things.
Did he?
Yeah.
No kidding.
It was a shame for Serpentico. But
Yeah. I love Serpentico. I mean, I like Brandon Cutler too, but I would have rather seen Serpentico get the win. But I mean, but you look at it where after that whole thing happened, Jon Moxley comes out to the ring on the very next Dynamite and just cuts this impassioned promo. He skips his vacation. Or was it Rampage? Rampage is Friday.
It was Dynamite.
Yeah, all right. So Dynamite, and he comes out, he skips his vacation, just comes out and just cuts this amazing promo, and basically shows that there's Chris Jericho, there's some other stars there, but this dude wants to he's willingly putting this company on his shoulders and trying to pull it forward and push it and make it the best organization it could be, make it the best wrestling company it can be. And he's willing to just basically put his blood, sweat, and tears into this company. And it's awesome. It's actually, I was a fan of Mox before. He's the first AEW shirt that I bought was the Moxley shirt where it says AEW and then it's got Mox spray painted across it. And that's the first AEW shirt I bought. I've got his book. I'm a fan. That may be more of a fan. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this?
I watched the promo that he cut as he was doing it live, and no, I mean you're spot on. I mean he actually, kind of showed who he really was. As far as, to me, he was never the company guy with the WWE, and not because of him. It's because of other people, forces he could not control. He's had his demons and his battles in the past, and I think this kind of showed that, hey, he can step up and be the company leader. And I think it came out not too long after that he was offered some kind of position with more like mentoring and coaching on top of what he's doing.
Yeah, apparently he's been wrestling or performing or showing up without a contract. Like he's been doing, I guess, a day-to-day thing, and they just they just announced he signed a contract, but he'll be the one of the head trainers as well as an on-screen performer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of guy you want doing that stuff. Somebody that's such, like you said, Tom, he was not a company guy with WWE. Had he stayed with WWE and Vince was still in charge, number one, I don't think that he's fought. I don't think he's battled and beat his demons at this point. I think maybe once Trips took over, he would be able to figure it out and get clean and everything. And then maybe at that point, maybe after that, he becomes more of a company guy. But I just don't think that the way that company's set up, it was something that would have happened naturally. And not that this necessarily happened naturally. There was obviously extenuating circumstances. But Rich, what are your thoughts on
it? Even before like the stuff happened with the Elite, like he was always going back and forth for the title. And when they started putting him together with Bryan Danielson and William Regal for the Blackpool Combat Club thing, that just got super over. So it just made sense to keep the title on him. Like he was, even before like he was the champion, he was the internal champion while Punk was injured. And it's just
interim.
Thank you. Just kept it on him. And I don't know. I never watched him in the WWE, so I don't know much about him until this. What I was saying more about the comparison to Austin, though, is just his mannerisms too. Like he's got that kind of. He's not. They don't have an authority or a Vince McMahon in the AEW, so it's not like he's fighting. But he's got that whole fuck everyone else. I'm doing this for me and mine kind of thing. And he doesn't drink anymore, obviously, but he comes into the ring with his water and he spits his water in the air and pours it all over him, kind of like the Austin opening. But I like, he doesn't have much of a character, but I like watching him wrestle. I think he's a fantastic and not that he's great technical, it's just fun to watch. He's a bruiser with some some technical skill when he needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Like, I remember going back, and there was times where I would just dive into like old YouTube clips of wrestlers that were making it big at the time. So like whenever he was in WWE, arguably the most popular faction of like the 2010s, with, now you've got Reigns and Rollins being the other two, and you can, obviously know where their careers went. But prior to that, the YouTube clips of him in CZW and the hardcore violent
That's where it
death
seemed
match
like,
type
yeah,
stuff.
It seems like something he'd come from.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but Richie might know this. Bob, I don't know, you ever see the David Arquette movie? You Cannot Kill David Arquette.
No, it's on my list, but I haven't seen it yet.
They talk about the Arquette getting into it with Nick Gage, and obviously that fight there where he gets really bloodied up, and that's just not a good situation for Arquette. Yeah. And I can't recall, but there's a lot of clips of Moxley in the past that are in a very similar type situation, just bloody brawls, but it kind of gives you perspective as to how south that stuff can go. But to me, like, that's the stuff that initially built his character, was those types of crazy brawling matches. But then he also traveled the world. He wrestled a lot in Japan. He did some stuff with like Dragon Gate USA. It's a lot of independent stuff, over and over again. But then he kind of did his developmental stuff in WWE and then worked his way up through the main thing. But as going back to what Richie's initial thing was, he to me was the, and I said this in our text thread, he's got that Austin, but he's got the flair of a Brian Pillman. Maybe not like as over the top or as crazy, but that edge. I'm not saying that Austin never had that edge. Right. Obviously he does, but Pillman had that different edge, like the one that made you think, is this guy legitimately crazy? And I think Moxley has that. That's just my opinion. Like, I think the guy, I guess because to me of his previous work doing some of the crazy hardcore stuff, whereas Austin never had that. He never did that. He was through WCW and whatever. Yeah, he was an ECW, but he was a mouthpiece.
Yeah, he was still just, Steve Austin, but more or less getting out. He was more or less promos.
He's a performer.
And,
yeah, he goes back.
Right. And that's why I thought the Pillman thing to me, just a slice of it, where he just, he thinks he's just a little crazy there. Which, I don't know. That's just my take on it. Yeah. What about you, Bob? Anything like that comparison that really sticks in you with anyone else? Like, hey, he's not just Austin, but maybe pieces of other people that he's taken over the years?
So I picture, like you said, I mean, he's got the Pillman. That's the biggest combination to me is he's basically the Hollywood Blondes.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he is. He's the Hollywood Blondes and one guy. And I'm trying to think, like, they tried to do so much. I feel like they almost, at least in WWE, tried to make him and Rollins almost the same. If you think about it, like think back to when he was doing the shit where he was wearing the mask and he was seeing the doctors and he was talking about how, I got to get a shot because of being around all you people. And then they gave him the shot in the ass and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like that's almost an extension of Seth Rollins' character. And I feel like that's something that we could almost see him doing. It's more over the top than Rollins' current character is. But currently, honestly, it's when I look at him, I'm seeing a more serious, a more rough around the edges Jericho. That's what I'm seeing as far as his mic work.
Yeah, I could see that. I think, it's funny, kind of bringing it back around to being a company guy and kind of look what Jericho is now. To me, he was always a company guy. He just kind of fell into odd positions where he was at. And it's I don't know. That's a good comparison. Obviously, I don't think he's not there yet. He's not as talented. I think he'll get there at some point.
Jericho's the Ring of Honor champion right now, and it's fantastic. He's taking all that Ring of Honor stuff and throwing it out the window. It's the Ring of Jericho champion, and he's the Ocho because it's his 8th championship, and it's just fantastic. Jericho rocks. Yeah, Jericho. I mean, he's getting old, but he's still cool.
Yeah. No, I'm tickled that he still has a top title. I just hope they actually do some more stuff with Ring of Honor instead of just kind of really haven't done a whole lot with it yet.
They're hinting at it, but like you said, nothing's really happening. Watching him come to the ring every day, not Jericho. Going back to wow, brain fart.
Moxley.
Thank you. It reminds me a lot of the Sandman in ECW. Like, he comes through the crowd every time. He's like playing with the crowd as he kind of comes into it, and just that over the top violence. Very ECW.
Yeah, no, it's cool because like that's why I brought that up. Like, you mentioned earlier in our text thread about the Austin comparison, but then to me, like, I think the guy's just a fan, and so now he's worked his way to this point in his career where now he's coaching, he's mentoring, he's not just in the ring, and I think you take bits and pieces of it, from other people. Even if you're somebody like a Ric Flair or whoever, like, you're still taking from other people.
Yeah.
That's what makes, that's what makes it fun. Makes it fun to watch because you can't just be yourself all the time unless you're like The Rock or something.
Ric Flair took his whole gimmick from somebody else.
Exactly. That's the thing. He did.
You're muted or something, Bob. I don't know if you're talking to us or not.
Yeah, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers.
Yeah. And no, it's a really neat thing to think of, though, as far as and honestly to see where he was and where he's at now. But I know, Rich, you said you didn't really follow anything that he did in WWE.
No, I haven't watched WWE in forever, so it's been a while. Like, I know he was there. I know he was in the Shield or whatever, and that's about as much as I know.
Yeah, outside of the New Day, they were probably the most popular faction of the last 15 years.
I wasn't watching wrestling at the time at all, but the New Day was everywhere, so I know about the New Day.
Yeah.
General pop culture.
Yeah, the difference being is that the New Day was kind of like organic because when that started, it was awful.
And am I muted again?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. And the little blue thing wasn't coming up. So, and that's what, Tom, you and I talked about that multiple times. They tried to make them, when they came out, they tried to make them the Nation of Domination. And what they did is they changed it. Originally, they were going to be preachers. And that's what the whole thing was about. They came out and it was the choir singing the song because it's the same, they still use the same song. But they were originally going to be like Southern preachers and, playing up like the whole, like the church aspect of it. And then eventually, but they got so over organically because they were such good heels that the crowd just couldn't stop cheering them. And so they became, they became what they are now, which is awesome. Which they're still one of my favorite tag teams of all time. But them and the Shield were the top two for pretty much all of the 2010s.
They can't be better than the Bushwhackers.
So they licked less people.
Yeah, see, there you go. Less. Good.
But aside from licking less people, they're more talented wrestlers too, and they're better on the mic. I mean, can you recall a Bushwhackers promo?
I'd been Australian.
Yeah. Probably pick up a sheep and take a bite out of it.
Yeah.
George Daniel Steele wasn't great on the mic either, but he was awesome.
He didn't have to be.
True.
Yeah.
No. All he had to do was destroy the.
If you can eat a turnbuckle, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We're gonna have you paint your tongue green and eat turnbuckles.
Yeah. I would do that. Is it gonna give me a contract?
He was local too. It's a shame we never got. I never got to meet him.
George,
you guys.
George Animal Steel. Was it George Animal Steel or King Kong Bundy?
It was
One
both.
of them.
Both of them
No,
were relatively local.
yeah, but one of them was somehow related to Becky Hall.
I don't know which one it was.
I can't
Bundy
remember
was,
which one.
he'd come in our auto shop every once in a while.
I just found out that the G.I. Joe guy, Sergeant Slaughter, he lives up in Allentown.
Does?
Yeah, it's like a half hour from now, maybe a little more than that. But yeah, not too far from me.
No shit.
Yeah.
He was one that he could get over on the mic. He was pretty decent at it.
Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter was awesome.
And Jim Duggan lives up here somewhere too, in the area.
Really?
Yeah.
Not him so much. I never really.
Yeah, no.
He could get over the 2x4.
I've seen random like I've never paid for his thing, but he's always been in the corner of the toy shows I go to, toy or comic shows.
Well, he wasn't invited. He just goes there and hangs.
Oh no, he's invited. It's Virgil that's not invited. He shows up everywhere.
Well, no,
Virgil.
That was the best story I ever heard. Like all these comic book shows that Virgil goes to, he just shows up with a stack of 8x10s.
Yeah. Well, that's what they was it. Did they end up putting him in Retromania? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think he's dying now, though. He's got like cancer or something, so he's not doing so hot.
Yeah.
Last I heard, anyway.
I thought they had put Virgil's table, not Virgil the wrestler, but I thought they had put Virgil's table in,
that would be awesome.
in Retromania Wrestling.
Just with a stack of pictures on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Well, I mean, he might actually be sitting at the table too.
Okay.
But I don't remember off the top of my head.
What's funny is that if you get if you type in Virgil Retromania, the first link is actually a wrestling website called superretromania.com, and it's a link to the passing of Dusty Rhodes.
Oh,
that's his real name is Virgil.
Oh yeah, Virgil Runnels.
Going back to AEW real quick, there's Danhausen's still, he's super over, but he's still a joke. Like he's not doing much, but he's always around with Orange Cassidy, and they just gave Orange Cassidy a title.
Yeah, the All Atlantic Championship.
Yeah, he beat Pac.
Dude, all right. So look,
he's got some weird ears. That Pac guy.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Dude, they stick way. That's why he's the man that gravity forgot, because he keeps on catching updrafts in his ears and it keeps him up in the air. He's like Dumbo.
Yeah, he's going to be in like the new Lord of the Rings or something, I think.
Yeah.
They gave their new trios championship to Death Triangle, which is where it should have been anyway.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so now, because FTR and CM Punk. Well, obviously CM Punk's not going to come back, but FTR and CM Punk were going to go after it. And then they were going to do. What kills me though, here's the one that really burns me. They had the perfect trios to give the trios title to. They could have given the trios title to Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and
Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah.
And then they didn't. And now Bobby Fish is gone from the company. They had Red Dragon. Who was one of the best independent tag teams in years. And
they've been fucking with FTR too. Like FTR hasn't been on TV for a while. They just started showing up again, but they haven't wrestled in a while.
Yeah, that's the thing though. They need to put FTR back on TV.
They have too many people and not enough show, is what's going on.
Right. Well, which comes back to the Ring of Honor thing. They need to get Ring of Honor up and running so that they can do like an NXT thing with.
Yeah, but even if they did that, they'd have to get more TV time somehow, and I don't know how you get.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. Yeah. Like they've got to figure that out. So whether they have to go to a streaming service, kind of like WWE Network back in the day, and then have like where
isn't there? There's one now that's just on streaming. Is it? It's not TNA. That's dead, right? I forget.
No, that's still around. Yeah,
that's Impact. It's rebadged as Impact.
That's a whole other thing too, because they're losing a bunch of talent too.
So it's I don't know. I just kind of I don't know. I feel like they need to go to a streaming service so that they can do Ring of Honor like they used to do NXT. Well, with WWE, where NXT used to only be on the WWE network. It was never on TV. And then they would do their pay-per-views and everything. So go to that model. Go to a streaming service model. And then you have all of the TV time you need for all of your people. You know, obviously a TV deal is huge, so you still do Dynamite, you still do Rampage, and you can still do Dark and Dark Elevation and everything else. But if you go to a premium streaming service, you'll be so much better off.
Yeah, and it's if you really that model, if you look back at NXT from about what 2014 to what 19 roughly,
Yeah.
it's that is hard to beat. That to me was rivaling like ECW. That's how good the wrestling was. That's how good the content was. Like they were really knocking it out of the park with some of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah, I agree. It was Rich. I really wish you would have been watching back then, man, because it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, do you have the Peacock network, Rich?
I do not.
I was going to say that's one of those things. If you ever get a chance at some point and you're ever interested, that's certainly worth your time, especially if you like where AEW is at now. I think you'd really appreciate the stuff that the NXT stuff from several years ago, because you see a lot of the same guys for one. Maybe not like Moxley or whoever that would kind of predate the NXT stuff. But Adam Cole, a lot of those guys.
Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, Gargano, Ciampa. And unfortunately, some of the people that are, I think I've heard Breeze is coming back. I thought he kind of came back to some WWE programming.
Yeah, he's been on Up, Down, Down. But I haven't seen him on anything like wrestling wise.
No. But they just had there was just a litany full of if you go back and look, especially toward the end of the run, you'd see Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa matches on their pay-per-views. And it was just ridiculous. Like those guys would just kill each other. But every time they would put on these 35, 40-minute matches that were just insane.
Right. And trying to think who in AEW is there anybody in AEW right now besides like Adam Cole and everybody?
Cole. Let's see. I'm going to pull up a quick roster and see. So I would know by looking at
because now William Regal was the GM.
Tony Storm, she came through NXT, particularly NXT UK, but she was toward the end of the good run there.
I think I brought this up before. Everything about Tony Storm I should find attractive, and I don't like Tony Storm at all. I don't know what it is. There's just something off-putting about her.
Andrade, he's another one.
Yeah, I'm not that into Tony Storm.
Buddy Matthews, he was another one. Buddy was actually one half of the a tag team in NXT. That was Buddy and what the heck was it? What was their names? Bob, do you remember?
I can't remember.
It was Buddy Murphy. He was Buddy Murphy, and they would feud with Enzo and Cass all the time.
Yeah. I
don't
remember the tag team's name.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what was it? Blake and Murphy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wesley Blake.
Yep.
They have Cass is here now, or in AEW now, but he doesn't do much of anything. He just Sterling, the black guy. He was in whatchamacallit, wasn't he? NXT.
Oh,
Sterling Holloway.
Oh, he was in he was in the newer iteration.
Stokely Hathaway.
Yeah. FTR as the
He's
Revival.
a fantastic talker, by the way.
Stokely Hathaway's awesome.
Rich, you said earlier FTR, but the Revival, that's where they really made their name, was in the original iteration of NXT. As the Revival, they were awesome. Trying to go through some of these other characters here just to see. Thank God Eddie Kingston was never there.
Dude, can we talk about Eddie Kingston for a minute?
Go ahead, because I have nothing nice to say. Keith Lee. Sorry, that was another one. Keith Lee.
Oh, fuck yeah. Keith Lee did some awesome stuff in NXT.
Yep.
But, all right, look.
Swerve Strickland just had a match against...
he's another one. Swerve was in NXT.
Billy Gunn, who, by the way, still I don't know how old he is, but he still wrestles pretty good.
Bob, here's another one. Before we get on to... actually, two more before we get on to Eddie. Miro as Rusev. He's another one.
Okay.
And Aleister Black. Malachi Black.
Oh, yeah.
He's another one. Yep.
So, and he was awesome at NXT too.
And Pac, he was Adrian Neville. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a bunch of those guys. I'm sure there's ones that I'm missing, but Samoa Joe, you kind of get an idea there. Sean Spears, he was Ty Dillinger. Yep.
And he
Tony
actually wrestled and was actually pretty good.
Tony Nese and William Regal. Duh, he was the GM of NXT. Yeah. So
War Games.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out now and hits on Excalibur every time he comes.
I know, I love it. I love it so much. Hello there, Mr. Masked Man. Aren't you looking like a delicious piece of cotton candy?
So scrumptious.
I love that so much. It makes me so happy.
Before I stepped on your love for Eddie Kingston.
Fuck.
Yeah, now before you start, it is Latino History Month or whatever the hell it is. So apparently he's somehow Latino.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Fuck Eddie Kingston. Listen, I'm so tired of Eddie Kingston, man.
And he almost committed suicide or something because he was on that suicide prevention thing. You got to be careful.
Good. Listen, he might be a great guy.
He's not.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think he is. But fuck, man. Like, dude, he literally never has anything nice to say about anybody.
I'd rather hang out with him than Sammy Guevara, but keep going.
Well, at least if you're hanging out with Sammy Guevara, you'd get to see Ty Conti.
Yeah.
But you also have to watch them making out and shit, and that would just be annoying.
I would just tell him to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Fair enough. But no, man, like Eddie Kingston he's no one. He has nothing nice to say about anybody. Like, and when he does, it's just like, oh yeah, that's my boy. Like, all right, so he's cool with Mox. That's great because you know what? If he wasn't cool with Mox, who would he fucking glom onto to be in the spotlight?
And Ruby Soho, not that she's in any spotlight or whatever, but that's his Ruby.
Right. Yes. That's his Ruby?
His Ruby.
Oh, his Ruby.
Those are his Ruby, yeah.
Okay. I thought you said his Ruby. I was going to say, Jesus, she must have fallen on hard times. But like, have you ever, if somebody never has shit nice to say about other people, typically they're the problem. Typically there's a common denominator. Sometimes they just happen to run into a bunch of shitty people. But Eddie Kingston just never has good shit to say about anybody. And I think that says more about him than it says about anybody else in the company. You know? I just don't buy it, man. I don't buy that everybody else in the company is a piece of shit, but he's the fucking, the nicest guy on earth.
Do you think, is it just, and this is going to be my devil's advocate here, because I don't have anything nice to say about him either, but I'm just curious. Is that just him? Is that just his character?
I don't think it's a character. MJF is a character. MJF is a gimmick that he lives his gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's. I think Eddie Kingston is just genuinely a miserable human being. And whether that's mental health related or not, if it's mental health related, dude, please get help for real. Like, and I'm not saying that it's a joke. Like, mental health is nothing to fuck around with, and you got to make sure that you're right.
See, when I first saw him, I think I mentioned this on one of the other podcasts. He's like somebody's drunk, slightly racist uncle.
I can see that.
It comes off as, yeah.
I never cared for him, and the best I could ever say about him is that he's basically like Nick Gage if he never got arrested for armed robbery of a bank. Like, that's basically who he is. Like, Nick Gage is, to me, is the same kind of way. He's just a jerk. Like, and again, it could be a character. I don't know, but there's anytime I've seen an interview of Eddie or any of his work with wherever, I'm not a fan. I don't really care for him. If you go through his background, he apparently had a hard life. I don't know if that's what it derives from, but the guy's wrestled everywhere. So it's not like AEW is his first rodeo. He wrestled for Evolve, the NWA, Chikara, AEW, Combat Zone, Independent Mid-South, Impact, PWG, Ring of Honor, you name it, the guy's done it. And maybe that's why he's so pissed off, because he had to wrestle everywhere to make money.
I mean, and honestly, look, you know what? When I first saw Eddie Kingston, I wanted to like him. I really did. I wanted to like this dude. But just everything that he's said, every time he opens his mouth, he's got something bad to say about every single fucking person. Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, who obviously we're finding out maybe he is the problem too. But like, he's literally never saying nice shit about anybody. And you just don't, that doesn't happen if you're not at least part of the problem.
You think part of it is just a guess. Names you mentioned there: Punk, Brian Danielson, sorry, and Claudio. Is there a jealousy factor there?
Absolutely.
I mean,
these guys have it so easy. I got to work so hard. They blah blah blah.
I mean, those guys already made it in the big one, the big company. Let's not kid ourselves here. Obviously, WWE is still, the spot where,
right.
That's where those guys came from. Those guys were making a killing there. And Eddie never hit that peak. I'm not saying that he's not doing well now.
Right.
Making some good bang money now in AEW, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think like what could possibly be his deal, other than maybe he just really is a jerk.
I think it's a combination. I think he's a jerk, and I think that he's jealous that these guys came from the big company, like you said, and come to AEW, and now they're getting pushed and stuff. And maybe part of it is he's a competitor too, but let's not overlook the fact that he's from New York. And well, what do we know about New Yorkers?
That's true. And here's the thing too, like speaking of that though,
we just lost 3 listeners.
but kind of speaking of that, you do have it to where, let's say, prior to Brian Danielson coming in and some of these other guys, and let's just pretend Eddie Kingston's there, being pushed as a top star, which he really wasn't. I mean,
right.
He's being pushed, but not as like the guy or the top guy. Then these other guys start coming in and taking TV time, and particularly names like, look, even if you don't follow wrestling, you know who CM Punk is. You have no idea who Eddie Kingston is, and frankly don't care who Eddie Kingston is. I don't know. Maybe that's the guy just goes back to the jealousy thing. I don't know. Just a guess.
No, when I came in, he was feuding with Jericho, and I just got tired of it because it seemed like the feud would never end. It was just the two of them with their little stables going back and forth, and it was just be done. No words. Yeah. Just be done.
No, I'll say this. I'm kind of getting tired. I love Jericho.
Didn't Santino and Ortiz come from? They were in the WWE for a while. Were they in?
No.
They weren't. Okay.
They were TNA.
TNA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, as much as I love Jericho, I am getting tired of his giant ass factions. As much as I love factions, I'm a stable guy. I fucking love stables. When back in WWE was doing the Brood and DX and the Dudley Boys and you had all these stables and everything in the Nation, and I fucking loved it. I live for stables. But I mean, that was like one of the first things I did whenever I started up a WWE game was I made a stable. But I just can't. I don't know, man. Every time he starts a stable, I feel like they kind of just suck.
This is pretty much the same stable with a different name, though. I mean, it's the same group for the most part.
Well, no, Santana and Ortiz aren't in it anymore.
Okay, other than them.
And is Sammy back in it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
yeah, Jake Hager.
Anna Jay is there now instead of Dark Order. She's now Anna J AS.
Never mind. I can't say that because Peyton's in the room.
And she's back with I guess they were a tag team before the stuff with her and Anna J and Tay Conti or Ty Conti, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
J and Tay. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the two of them together, and I like Anna J. But I really wish she was back in Dark Order because I really like Dark Order.
Yeah, I liked her character, and everyone's stupid. Is you're right about that? Like the characters in the stable are kind of dumb, but they made her out to be a little stupid too.
Yeah,
she chokes people out, gets angry quick.
Yeah, I see. And now my question is going to be, because now I've completely soured on. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say they wrecked. I didn't like the Factory, but I liked. Wow, I don't know the names. Yeah. And they made him cut his hair, and he shaved. Well, I don't know if they made him, but he cut his hair and shaved his beard, and is coming out as an Italian. Well, they turned the whole thing into like the mafia for some reason, the factory. So he's just this big Italian stereotype now, and it doesn't work. I like the big 80s looking wrestler guy better.
Right. Yeah. When he looked like Andre the Giant with a giant fucking beard.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I don't say Bruiser Brody, but along those lines. Yeah.
Wow. You know what I want to see now is what ends up happening with Dark Order, because they've kind of shredded it. You know, they got Anna Jay is no longer with them.
You know, I missed. There was supposed to be a match. I don't know if they had it or if it's coming up next week, but it was. Oh Jesus Christ! It's Andrade versus 10, and if 10 wins, Andrade has to leave, and if Andrade wins, 10 works for him now in his faction.
I think that already happened.
Did it already happen? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how it ended.
I don't know either, but I feel like that already happened. I could be wrong, but I'm looking at it and like, all right, so you've got 10, you've got Evil Uno, you've got the Beaver Boys, and aside from that, so you used to have Colt Cabana, you used to have Anna Jay, you used to have 5 Allen Angels, you used to have Stu Grayson, Dose. So you've now lost those 4 people, and then Hangman Adam Page was an unofficial member, but he was essentially the leader of the Dark Order at this point. And now those 4 of those 5 are either out of the group or out of AEW completely. And then Adam Page, I just could not care less about now after this whole thing. And here's the thing, like initially it was, I don't like these guys because they fucked over CM Punk. But at this point, I'm just so over how they all handled everything that I don't care for any of them. And I used to like Omega. I never really cared about the Young Bucks. But aside from watching Being the Elite, like I would watch that every week. But I really just don't give a shit anymore. That whole thing.
Pete, you're meat.
But that whole thing just kind of like the whole CM Punk situation just destroyed a portion of AEW for me.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, you know, particularly with the launch, you know, the whole launch of that company was riding on the shoulders of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody, and some of these other guys that really, you know, Hangman, really. I mean, he was there from day one. But there's a lot of these other guys that were, and you know, that whole mess there. To me, it was one of those things that could have been handled obviously a lot better. But I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I didn't really care much in the first place at all anymore, even for Punk, because they just lost interest that way. But those other guys I never really had mind for, you know. And so I'm kind of the same way. It's like, I want to see what these other guys are doing. I'm more interested in what Orange Cassidy's doing personally.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more interested in, you know, seeing the stuff with the Acclaimed. I'm more interested in seeing, you know, what Jungle Boy's doing, because that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. That's what I like. You know, it's these other guys. I don't know.
I can tell you what Jungle Boy's doing. Anna Jay.
Well,
Good on him. He's going by Jack Perry now. Like they're moving him away from the Jungle.
Yeah, it's like what are they? He's going by the full like Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Yeah,
and then they're going to eventually phase out the
Jungle Boy thing.
They should probably just go to Jungle Jack Perry.
Yeah. He's probably moving away from the whole jungle thing completely. But the stuff with the Acclaims also. It was fun watching the Acclaim start out as like just this. I don't call it say stupid, but they just seemed more as one of them silly groups. And just now that they're the champions, they're the tag team champions now in AEW.
Yeah.
Then that's something. That's an example of like true organic. Yeah. The fans helped build that. You know, they really
with
knew.
Billy Gunn as their manager. They stole Daddy Ass from the Gun Club.
I love that so much too.
I mean that's something that's like that's organic. That's what, you know, makes it fun. That's what makes it fun as a fan. You know, but Bob, you mentioned earlier about factions and stuff, and going to the other side. Bray Wyatt has returned to the WWE, and there's talk of the Wyatt Six. which that's another interesting topic all within of itself. So that could be another iteration of the Wyatt family. That's really cool. Bob, did you see any of that, like clip or anything of the return?
So I actually saw the whole return. So I was full disclosure, I was at work and I had the Phillies game on as we took out the Cardinals, and
yeah, the one I was at.
Yes, the game you were at. And then so after that, obviously that was running at the same time as Extreme Rules. So I went and just kind of started watching Extreme Rules, and then I was just like, you know what? When did Bray Wyatt come back? Because that's really what I want to see.
Right.
And then so I fast forwarded up to the end.
Yeah, very end. Yeah.
Well, honestly, okay. So I watched the very first match, the Donnybrook between the
those guys beat the
Brawling
crap out
Brutes.
of each other.
Yeah, at Imperium. Holy shit. What a great match.
Yeah.
Let me say that. And then everything else I kind of fast forwarded through. Which I should have I guess I probably should have watched the Bianca Belair and Bailey match.
That was good. The Rollins Riddle one was good. That was there was a couple of tough spots in that match. That first match, they just beat the tar out of each other. Yeah. The rope match too, the strap match, McIntyre and I always call it Killer Cross, but Karrion Cross.
Yeah,
they smacked each other around. That was pretty good.
So I watched a little bit, and then I skipped forward and saw that. And so basically Mike Rotunda, IRS, for those who don't know who Mike Rotunda is, he used to be Erwin R. Shyster back in the day. And he is the father of both Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. And apparently Bo Dallas is going to be in the Wyatt Six.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And so we'll see that tomorrow night because he's going to be on SmackDown. So we'll see what happens to the Wyatt Six. So it's interesting though, because some of the people you would think would be involved are involved with other shit right now. Like I definitely thought Dexter Lumis fit that group. I thought Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan would fit that group as Sister Abigail or Abby the Witch. What did I just activate?
Alexa, stop.
Oh, okay.
That's too good.
I don't know what she was playing. She started playing music.
Did she start playing White Rabbit by Jefferson Starship?
No, it was
See, my thing is, I think Liv fit that better personally, where she's at in her career compared to. I don't think Alexa needed that anymore.
No,
that's just my opinion.
Didn't they try doing something with Edge's group? Weren't they like similar to this thing? Like
that's another good faction. I was going to bring them up too. So it's not Edge isn't in charge of it anymore, but
yeah,
the Judgment Day, and they've got that rolling now too. That's been great.
That big Amazon woman and Damian Priest and
Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Rey Mysterio's son,
Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio.
But then, what do we say? Another talk about factions. So AJ Styles gets the ultimatum, and who shows back up but nothing but Anderson and Gallows.
Which I do love that.
And talk about weird because Anderson's still holding a New Japan title right now. Makes it interesting.
Yeah. What I'm looking forward to obviously is when they start crossing over, but who is the Wyatt Six going to feud with if they're not going to be on Raw? What SmackDown groups? The Bloodline?
Possibly. I don't see them getting the push that quick though.
No, that's what I'm trying to figure out is who exactly they've got to have some big returns on hand coming up.
That's a good point.
Because I figured Dexter Lumis would be a member, like I said, and Liv Morgan makes more sense as Sister Abigail, and then Rhea Ripley would have made sense for that group. There's just so many people that could fit into it. Oh no! You know who Sister Abigail's going to be? Sasha Banks.
No way. No.
Dude.
I mean,
Think about it.
That'd be a hell of a character change.
Think about it. She changed all her social media stuff. She took Sasha Banks out and just put her actual real name.
Damn, wouldn't that be something? Damn.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but that would talk about a swerve.
So
right there.
My thing here, and this
not
is
a swerve when I drive. It's Rich. Did you get that one?
You guys know
Swerve Strickland's theme song. I swerve when I drive. I swerve when I drive. Like that's literally what it says, and I don't understand why the fuck that's
Swerve's house.
You guys know this. I mean, Undertaker. The entrance still is kind of like always induces chills. And I don't care how old you are; it's just fun. It's always one of those deals. The only one that ever came close was Bray Wyatt, as far as in the terms of like his original character and how that all worked. And then they screwed it up. And then
I get this funny feeling when the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny come out. There's that little bite thing into the camera.
I was saying, what is that when your pants get tight?
Oh yeah.
I do enjoy some Bunny.
Butcher's pretty hot too.
He's not my type.
I talk about AEW originals. Those
Yeah.
They've been there since the beginning. In fact, I remember seeing their names the first time. I was like, the Butcher and the Blade. Like, what? I thought that was the dumbest thing. And then
what? No, dude, that is the coolest.
I know. Initially I thought, man, this is so stupid. But then it was like, this is pretty cool.
No, my initial on that was like, how has nobody thought of that before? I feel like that's such an awesome tag team name.
I think I thought it was dumb because like of that same reason that you thought it was awesome. Because I was like, well, this isn't like, John Smith and, like I just didn't think of it to be a wrestling name. That's why. And then after a while, to me, it definitely grew on me. And I think it's really awesome now. Just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm used to like RVD and Sabu. I like names.
Yeah, that's true. You like names. I like titles.
I like John Cronus and Perry Saturn. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were the Eliminators. They had
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Total Elimination, man.
Moppy.
Still my favorite all-time tag team.
Fucking Moppy. Jesus. I need them to release a Perry Saturn WWE Legends figure complete with Moppy.
Moppy.
Is Saturn still alive?
I think so, but he's been rough.
Because I don't think he would sign off on that. I
actually don't know if he is. I gotta look this up now. I'll look it up while we're talking.
I don't think he would sign off on that, but I would totally buy a Perry Saturn with
still alive.
Yeah, he was rough though for a while there.
Dude,
He's 55.
Dude, he's looked like he's 55 for like 30 years.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, remember that picture or that thing I sent you guys where it showed, Yokozuna would have been 54 today, or 52 or whatever, and then Tajiri, happy birthday Tajiri, 52nd birthday, and how completely different. Like Yokozuna, I thought was like in his 40s when he was apparently in his 20s.
Yeah.
And Tajiri just never aged.
No. Talk about somebody that like, and I always thought like some of these guys that had a lot more to give. Tajiri, at least to the United States crowd. I'm not saying that they necessarily didn't overseas.
Yeah, I think he's running like an overseas thing now, Tajiri.
Yeah. I just thought that to me, like I always thought that they would have been so over because he was so over to me back in the day.
That's because we were ECW fans.
Yeah, I know. I've had the same, but I have the same position.
He was running WWE for a while too.
He did.
He did, but
He was one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
He was one of the few ECW figures I had that had the Tajiri one.
Masato Tanaka I had the same feeling for too. I thought he was just awesome.
Was that the guy that used to wrestle Mike Awesome all the time? The big Japanese guy?
It was, but he did the Balls Mahoney matches and they just beat the crap out of each other.
The bionic elbow or something.
Oh, man. I just love that guy. He's so good, too. He definitely wasn't as much of a character as Tajiri, but he's just a stout wrestler. Oh, man.
That's why I really need WWE, especially now that Trips is back in charge or is in charge. Really need them to really push Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, what is he SmackDown in it? What is he doing? Or is he hurt
Honestly,
still?
I don't know. He might still be hurt. But I need him and Rick Boogs to get a long run with the tag titles.
Yeah, I know he's got to be coming back soon, right?
I would think so.
Let's see. I know he's out for a long time.
Rich, that's another one. If you haven't seen, you need to look up Rick Boogs doing Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance. It's fucking amazing,
dude. I'm telling you. I think Bob. I remember telling you the first time, and when the first time he made his NXT debut as his real name, he wrestled Drew Gulak, and like he was playing Drew Gulak's ribs like a guitar. It was, it's still one of my favorite matches.
Rick, what is it, Bugenhausen?
It was Eric Bugenhausen.
Eric Bugenhausen, yeah. Versus Drew Gulak.
Gulak, yeah.
Talk about fucking names that just like not what I would think of as wrestlers.
No.
Eric Bugenhausen versus Drew Gulak.
I want to go back and rewatch it again. I've watched it a few times, but that's one of my favorite matches. I just love it because it's so over the top sticky. But it's like, yeah, like he comes out and like the crowd is just jamming with him, and like he gets over as a nobody within 30 seconds. It's so good. That's what sucks about him now. Like he was getting to the point where he was, he was with Shinsuke and doing some really cool stuff, and then he gets hurt, which sucks because like I think to me he was just hitting his stride and getting over with the main crowd.
I'll have to see if I still have the video from when I went and saw the house show where he played Shinsuke to the ring. I'll have to see if I still have it on my phone or not. But wherever I have it, I'll forward it to you, Rich, so you can see. It's just, dude, he's so good. He's not the best guitarist in the world, but
but he's passionate.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how he picked up so quickly on how to play. Like he's definitely better than Elias. And Elias's whole gimmick was that he plays the guitar. At one point, WWE had 2 guitar players as gimmicks.
Oh, speaking of, you just mentioned he's coming back too. As Elias.
Good. Good, I guess. Because that was the dumbest shit. Like it had the potential to be funny. It did have the potential to be funny. But I don't know. It didn't land with me.
It's I don't know, that's cool. I think we've done some cool stuff here talking about like 2 companies doing really fun things and really good things. And
going back to the Acclaimed, I watched it a little bit before Clerks 3. Smart Mark and Tony Nese, they got the trademark on scissoring.
Yes, I saw that. It's so good.
It's great.
Oh,
it's stupid. It's stupid stuff, but it's fun. It's just.
Did you guys see? Was it Max Caster or Anthony Bowens? It was. I can't remember which one it was. One of them got the scissor Topanga.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that.
Really?
Yeah, she was at one of their shows, and she's actually got her. Oh no, I'm sorry. They were filming a show or a movie or something together, and she actually has her own belt. And in the picture, she's holding the belt, and they're scissoring.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. And one more thing before we sign off, talking about the groups, we got to give a shout out to the Blackpool Combat Club. I don't know about you guys, they're one of my favorite factions as we're going. Like in AEW, I'd love to see like a War Games style matchup or some kind of team warfare where it's the Acclaimed, Blackpool Combat Club, and like FTR or Best Friends or something versus a stack of other people.
Well, they did the Blackpool Combat Club versus JAS War. I forget what they called it. It's not War Games, but it's their version of War Games. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one then. I'll have to find that and watch it.
Maybe they'll bring back the World War III from WCW. Did you guys ever see those matches?
It was 2 rings inside of a cage.
Oh, that's War Games.
Okay, yeah, that's what
that was War Games. Yeah, no, you guys ever watch the World War III matches?
No.
It's basically like
was that the stacked ones?
No. It's either 2 or 3 rings. I can't remember. But it's like a giant 60-man like battle royale.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right,
And
well, let's get that going.
they're so hard to watch, especially if because they have like little camera shots on all of them, and you have no idea what's going on. That's why it never really lasted as a concept.
Yeah, I can't imagine a 60-person battle royal would be very very watchable.
Yeah. I say we just give it another shot. Why not?
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Give everyone some TV time.
Yeah.
You know, the guy selling Cokes, whatever. I mean, whatever. Put him in the ring.
Right.
They had the pizza guy.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Luigi Primo.
That's it.
That's amazing. That's fucking amazing.
The funny thing was, the guy, and this is one thing I do love about AEW. That guy got viral on, I don't know, it wasn't a week or two prior to
Yeah.
him showing up.
Okay.
You know, with the whole he was spinning the pizza around, but it was in some
No
gym
name.
or something.
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
a high school gym or like a VFW or something.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later, he's showing up in AEW. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that. And then Danhausen, of course, had him on, and so and let's get more Danhausen. Damn it!
Danhausen's on every show now. He doesn't.
But he needs to win. I need him to win some matches. I need a belt.
He's the best friend's mascot, pretty much.
Well, I need him to have a belt. He should join the Wide Six.
Yeah, talked about
Interpromotional.
Yeah. So what's Danhausen doing as a member of the Wide Six? He can do whatever he wants.
He should be House of Black. House of Black needs a leader now.
That's true. He should. The Danhausen of Black. No, I heard that they're I heard that he's actually coming back to them.
Malachi Black, is he?
Yeah, Malachi Black isn't leaving.
No, he actually legitimately stepped away because of mental stuff.
Yeah. So he'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he'll be back.
I feel bad for what's her face because she was getting a little better. I can't think of her name now. She's been off TV for.
Julia Hart.
Yeah, her too. Yeah. She definitely did better in House of Black than she was with the Varsity Blonde. Not Varsity, but whoever those guys were. Pillman Jr. and the other guy.
Yeah, Varsity Blondes.
Was the Varsity Blondes? Okay, that was right.
Yeah, because his dad was the Hollywood Blonde.
Okay.
He's the Varsity Blonde.
Gotcha.
So, and he's still got a fuck. I don't know if I'm jealous of his mullet or not.
They come on, they get squashed every once in a while. So it's been a while since they've been on TV too.
Griff Garrison and
Pillman Jr. Yeah.
Wow.
They have a lot of enhancement talent.
A lot of their talent needs enhancement.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time.
Serpentico needs to be winning more. He's the best.
Serpentico needs to win. Serpentico and Danhausen need to be a tag team. No, Serpentico, Dr. Luther, and Danhausen can be a trio. They can win the trios tournament. Or trios tag titles. All right. Until next time, check us out on alwaysbechupacabra.com, chupacabradicks.com, bigbeefyshooterboys.com, doyoulikebears.com, harambepox.com, Noise Brigade